Before I get into even telling you how I know so much, I'll only tell you one thing when it comes to all learnings or learning on health as well. There is still so much more to know, right? But coming to how I know so much, the day I chose that this is something where I want to invest my time in, I want to learn a lot more about health. For me, it was very clear. I wanted to look at health through the prism of science. For me, science, rationality, logic is something that it works. And one thing came very clear when I was reading a lot about this subject. A lot of the innovation and the research comes out of the US. And for me, it was a natural progression to look towards the US. When it came to formally getting myself trained and taking education, the alma mater in this case, one of the best institutions to talk about health is the Harvard Medical School. And hence I kind of, chose to first go to Harvard Medical School. A lot of people, look at Harvard as a business school, which is why it is very popular. But, the Harvard Medical School was formed in 1782. It is US's third oldest medical school with a very, very deep focus on research and on public health. And for me, that became a very critical reason to choose to do my executive education on health and wellness, designing a sustainable nutrition plan, and which is why I went to Harvard. Harvard, of course, attracted me because one of the legends in the field of gerontology, David Sinclair, comes from Harvard. My absolute favorite, Dr. Matt Walker, is from Harvard. So there was a natural magnetism for me to go towards Harvard. Harvard also, if you don't know, has done a lot for public health. Your smallpox vaccine was invented or developed at Harvard. Chemotherapy for children leukemia came out of Harvard. Polio vaccine came out of Harvard. Insulin again from Harvard. So they have this history of doing path-breaking work. And when it comes to public health, they have a very different lens through which they look at it, which is what I learned from them. In terms of commitment, it's interesting, right? Mine was an executive education, which was spread over 7 weeks. We had 7 modules. After every module, we had to sit for an exam, and only when you pass that exam can you move into the next module. The first module begins by giving you an overview about the landscape of healthcare today globally. Then it eases into the second module, which for me was a path-breaking module, which spoke about health in a very holistic manner. Whenever we talk about health, it invariably comes down to nutrition. But this is where they spoke about the 6 pillars of health. Nutrition, of course, being an important part. They spoke about exercise, they spoke about sleep, they spoke about stress, they spoke about social gathering and friendships and its role in health. And lastly, they spoke about substances that we should avoid. So it was very, very interesting, the second module. Then they took us through diseases and what diseases are today impacting both lifespan and health span of civilization and for population in the US. Post that, very interestingly, they took us through health across life stages and across ages. How the health of a youth will be different than of a teen. How as you mature into a young adult, into an adult, what challenges that you face, and then into the later part of your life. All these were part of the 7 modules. Later, as we got into the second part of our course, it became even more interesting, where they brought in the role of behavior, which for me again was very path-breaking. Often when we look at things through the lens of science, it is always black and white, and which is where they introduce the role of behavior. What happens when somebody is contemplating making a change, to somebody who has already contemplated making a change, to somebody who is already in the action route, and to somebody who's taken action and now wants to maintain, and what behaviors you will see to decode which stage these people are in. It was brilliant. And last, they went into something which is how, doing all of this, do you connect all the dots and then create an individual sustainable nutrition plan for your client in a manner that your client's health will disproportionately become better. How expensive is this? Again, I always feel that money is relative, but a course like this will be anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 depending on which month you choose to sign up. So it will be between 5 and 10 lakh rupees. But because I was in a hurry to learn so much more, I signed up, paid $10,000. If you ask me, for me it was not $10,000, it was priceless. And which is why I say, when it comes to health education, for me, Harvard paid its due to me. That's an interesting question. What is the difference between modern medicine, or what is the difference between modern medicine and education here in India and there? I think one thing for me that stands out, in India, we still do not have so much of health literacy, and hence we rely a lot on ancient wisdom which has been passed on to us through grandmom and through mom, and trust me, there is nothing wrong with it. The only challenge that you face over there, because ancient wisdom has been there for over 300,000 years, and its translation, there will be translation losses. Somebody's grandmom may like something, somebody's mom may say something. How do you know what is good for you? And which is where Harvard made a difference to me, in the sense that it taught me how to see all of this through the lens of science. My big takeaway after studying at Harvard was very interesting. What I try to do in my content is I merge where science converges with ancient wisdom. That is my sweet spot. I am a very, very big believer of ancient wisdom through grandmom and mom, and now I put in a layer of science to ensure that whatever ancient wisdom has a scientific backing is something that I share with all of you. I think one standout moment for me, or I would say two standout moments for me right through the course. I think first hit me in module 2, where it presented to me that health is far beyond nutrition, where we spoke about sleep, where we spoke about exercise, where we also spoke about what substances you should avoid, like alcohol and drugs. I think it was a standout module for me. And second standout module was on behavior. Very often, we always look at things through the lens of black and white. When you put behavior lens to this, your perspective changes. You begin to respect the context. You begin to understand the person from where they are coming. And I think that made a big difference to me. One of the big things that I was surprised is when you look at health education in the West, it is currently customized and tailor-made for those communities. US is very different from India. East is very different from West. Not just in terms of what they eat, how they exercise, how much they sleep, but even from a climate standpoint, from topography standpoint. What I would want for Harvard or schools like Harvard, which have taken the public health education mandate, is to cover what is happening in our part of the world. And if they need help, I am there for them. What would I do differently? Actually, I've done things differently after studying at Harvard. When I got so much of value from Harvard, then I wanted to double click a lot more on that, which is where I went to Stanford and I did 3 courses from Stanford School of Medicine. Had it not been for Harvard, I would have never gone to Stanford. So for me, that was something very interesting that happened in my life. If I am being very honest in terms of the value it has brought to me, beyond the education that it brought and what I implemented and what I talk about, I think it gave me credibility to my audience. Coming from the world of finance, why would you want to listen to somebody like me? To tell them, when I started my career into equity markets, again, I wanted to understand the science of why a stock price goes up. And for that, I had to understand how a company performs, for which I had to learn to read their annual report, and for which I went and became a chartered accountant and a cost accountant. I think something very similar applies over here. When I wanted to talk about health, wanted to understand health deeply, I had to get educated. I went to Harvard, took that education, And now I have enough credibility to talk to you about all of the things that I talk to you about. Like somebody in Harvard, in their medical department, who will decode scientific studies. They have taught us how to look at scientific studies, how to look at lot of things that you will come in your day-to-day life and make sense of it, whether it is good or bad for your life. So I guess the biggest value it brought to me is hopefully it added a lot of credibility to me. If there is somebody who also wants to get educated or health educated, I will highly recommend them to go to any institute of repute, whether it is Harvard, Stanford, Imperial College, whatever you like. Go and learn. Don't go there because you want a certificate from there. Go there and immerse yourself in the knowledge that they are trying to share. Don't just look at the course material, but there are footnotes that they present. There are a lot of additional resources they will give you. It's up to you whether you want to go through them or not. Because if you don't go through them, it's not that your grades will come down. But when you actually go through all these footnotes and all the resource material, that is where the secret lies towards the creation of that course. They are giving you that magic wand for you to unveil the secret to your better health.